All right, wonderful. Thank you so much for everyone for joining us today for today's webinar. Kavin Shakya, Associate or Assistant Professor from Geography and the Environment, is giving us a presentation today on his work in the classroom incorporating sustainability. Really excited to hear what he has to share with everyone. So I'm gonna turn it on over to you, Kavin.
Thank you, Lizzie, for the opportunity to share some of the examples from the courses that I have been teaching in environment science. I'm an assistant professor of environmental science at Department of Geography and Environment, and I teach mainly 5 courses: environment chemistry, environmental pollution, which is the mineral science experience courses, ecosystem service learning, indoor quality and human health, and introduction to sustainability studies. So I would share some of the examples from these courses that I've been teaching. And for my research interest, my main research interests are in the air pollution, mainly the particulate matter. So since I came to Villanova, I have been studying the air pollution around the Philadelphia neighborhoods, and then also looking to see how there is a difference in the air pollution in the urban region in Philadelphia and the suburban locations such as in Villanova. And as we are spending, more time because of this COVID-19, it's not more important time than now to actually realize how our exposure to various pollutants in indoor might be very important. And so I have done one study from 2017 to study the exposure of the commuters at the subways, SEPTA subways. And then I was about to start another project to study the children's exposure from the different minority communities in Philadelphia, but that has been stalled. And I need to start that. And I also have a small project going on about the environment education and around the schools in Philadelphia. And I also have an interest in environment sustainability and environmental health issues. We all know about the sustainability. Just briefly, when we talk about the sustainability, often, even in environment science, that we may overemphasize and talk more about just the environment aspect of it, but it's actually truly be talking about the sustainability. It needs to include all 3 pillars, including the environment, society, and the economics. So when we include all these 3 components, then only that we can say as this, the middle one, then only it would be sustainability. And when I ask about the sustainability to the students, it's pretty clear that most of the students are aware that we don't utilize all the, or use all the resources so that nothing is left for the future generation. So we know that it's about leaving it for the future generations as well, not being selfish and using all of them in our lifetime. But despite, this is the one that definition that has been accepted by the Brundtland Commission in 1907, but there is also a lot of definitions of sustainability exists, and the literature says that there are actually more than 300 definitions of the sustainability. But this is the one that has been widely accepted. Earlier, we had the Millennium Development Goals, and now we have replaced this with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and different countries have their own plan to meet these Sustainable Development Goals. And when I taught the Intro to Sustainability Studies, then I try to make the students aware to see how the different countries are tackling in their own ways to meet these goals for the different things, and which are one of the really critical for them to meet. So after talking about this sustainability, briefly introducing about sustainability, I will talk about different 4 modules from the different courses that I've been teaching. So the first module is about the green buildings. So this one I used when I taught the course Introduction to Sustainability Studies. Here I talk about the different examples of the green buildings that is done, and like the Villanova University is also actually member of the Green Building Council and has been really been doing exemplary work about the green buildings. And here we talk about how all the 3 pillars of sustainability that I mentioned are really applicable in this green buildings. And then also introduce the concept about this LEED certification, which everyone may have heard, but they may not know what actually goes on and what kind of the LEED certifications there are. And then we also look at some of the documentation of the model cities that they have been doing really great work on being such as carbon neutral, or they have really great vision and policy documents. So the students, they go to read some of these documents. So, and this green building and the built environment is one of the really great example where this all three pillars of sustainability can be incorporated, such as like when we build the environment, it starts actually from the site selection, like what kind of the site it is being selected, what kind of the soil, what kind of material goes on to that building, how the design is done, and all that. It's like, are there any materials that are actually used from the recycled materials, or if there are any that's used from other demolished buildings. So all these actually goes on and actually earns the points if these are used, and that can be used to meet the points for the LEED certification. And once the building is built, what kind of the things that are being done to make it efficient in terms of the energy, the water, other different materials that are used, and that can be really tied not only to the environment, but also for the economics as well, as it reduces the cost of running these buildings. And the effects of this building on the different kinds of the pollution. Has this building got the urban roof, or had it got any plan to have a small stormwater runoff? How it is actually helping to reduce the noise pollution. So all this goes on. And then finally, all these we can incorporate that and talk about how this actually concept of this green building, it actually promotes the sustainability. And just in, like when we talk about building infrastructure or the buildings, this concept of the all three pillars of sustainability, then we can apply to that. And then we talk about the LEED system of different classes, like, based on the points that we earn. Like if we have more than 80 points, then we get platinum. And then if it is like 40 to 49, then it's certified silver, gold, platinum. Villanova has, Liesl can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there are 6 buildings that we have LEED certified. We don't have any that's platinum, but there is 3 that are certified gold and 3 that are certified silver, right?
Yeah, so we actually have 8 now. So the Commons were certified this past spring, and Austin Hall, I think it's Austin Hall, was also certified, like unceremoniously was certified. So, but it's all on our website if you want to check that out.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's why I asked for your correction, because I know I was going to do wrong. So it all depends on the point system. It's really interesting that in a way that they do the point system as well. It's really fun to learn what kind of things goes on getting this LEED certification. It depends on what kind of materials I use, how it is transported from, and like if it's coming from more than 500 miles, then you get less points. But if you get from a boat, then you get more points. So it's really interesting to learn, and we try to navigate, not really in detail, but try to see what kind of things that goes on. The one thing that I really wanted that I haven't done since I taught this course only one time is that going around these LEED certified buildings around the Villanova campus and the non-LEED certified to see what's the main difference. What is the main thing that actually was done in this building so that it qualified for the meeting this LEED certification? If there's something that is done about, like the lighting system, like when you go to actually Driscoll Hall, it's so appealing not to take the lift because there is a really good steps that goes on. So we actually are really encouraged that you take the stairs, not take the steps. Or there is any green roof that is done. I think there is an engineering building, and also in the Driscoll Hall, there is the green roof there. So we learn about that, and hopefully the students, when they graduate and get on their position, they can also promote this concept to getting a LEED certification, because LEED certification is not only tied anymore to about the environment and sustainability, but it's also kind of the prestige. Like, Villanova takes a pride that, it has the LEED certified buildings, and it's a matter of prestige itself. And finally, we also go on to see some of the examples from the different cities to see. Yeah, thank you. There was a comment. There is also a green roof on the new PSC. So, so these are some of the examples that students can see themselves, like what are done in these buildings. And then there are different cities that are trying to be carbon neutral. So we go on to look at these plans to see what are the major things that are done and how we can model that and learn from that about these policies and plans in different cities on to copy these in the cities that we are living. So the second module is still about the indoor environment, and this one I and another professor, we co-teach this course, Professor Ruth McDermott Lewis. He's the director of the Global Health at the College of Nursing. This is a cross-college course, and when we taught this course, we require students to do the assessment of the indoor environment, and we give them a seat and they look at the lighting or maybe the temperature, what kind of the materials goes on this, where is the ventilation is located, can they identify there could be anything that could emit the pollutants in this indoor air. And so they complete this assessment qualitatively, and we also provide them with the indoor air quality monitors, and they take it with themselves and they monitor the indoor environment and logs in their activities, and they actually look at themselves to see if there is certain activities or certain materials that actually lead to elevation of this particulate matter, indoor air pollution. So in this way, we are also giving the opportunity for the students that we are not there only to teach, but we are also trying to learn from the students as well. So in this course, then we require the students groups to present their findings from their projects that they can select on their own. And there were 5 groups who presented in 2019 Earth Day. So there were 5 groups from this course, and then not only they are learning and teaching us in our course, but also teaching it to the Villanova community as well. So anyone who may have been to the Earth Day celebration last year, we didn't have one this year, they may have seen the students present about the indoor air quality, and they are the students who have taken on this course. So in this poster, one student group actually presented, and they were actually surprised to see the influence of the vaping on the enhancement of particulate matter. So the peaks that we see is due to someone vaping in, doing the vaping in that room. So rather than saying, you know, vaping is bad, student actually measured it and they actually saw it themselves. So they may or may not be, so if they see that, you know, someone is vaping, or if they are vaping, they don't do in the indoor environment, or they see clearly that even though they are not involved in this activities, but if there is someone who is doing that, they clearly see now that they are going to be affected, and hopefully it will promote in some conscious behavior so that we are also affected less from the health effects that could arise from these negative activities. And there were a lot of activities that has shown, you know, such as cooking, I mean, which can't do anything but improving the ventilation, that could help, or maybe like burning the candles, and all this that we learn that, you know, how these activities can actually enhance the air pollution problem in our indoor environment. And there were the other groups which presented, such as the problem of the carbon monoxide poisoning. There is more than 400 deaths that occur every year in US. They die because of the carbon monoxide poisoning. So they presented in this case. Another one is talking about, so the students from the nursing school, they were interested to learn about the indoor air quality in healthcare facilities, and they presented in this topic. And the other students, they were interested now to learn about the environment they are living in, such as in college dormitories. So they talk about the problem of the pest and fungi or the molds and the dormitories, and they learn in the process, and they teach this to the instructor and also to the community about what they learn. The third model is, it's not the lecture. I use this as a lab activity in the Mendel Science Experience course, Environment Pollution, that I taught. So in this energy consumption, I had a seat where the students need to go to different rooms in their house and say how many bulbs do they have, and then what kind of the bulbs they have. And then I asked them to look at their electricity bill and to see that how much, what is the rate of the cost, what is the cost of the electricity. And then we use a certain really simple mathematical calculation to see, assuming certain hours that they turn on the light, how much it would cost, or how much wattage of the electricity that would be used from the system, from the bulbs that they have. And then we do the same thing by replacing this with the LED system, and then we go on to starting from how much does the bulb cost and how much does it cost to actually run this versus the one that they have, and they actually look at the comparison to see how long does it take to actually cover the cost for buying the bulbs and how much it actually is the difference. And we also look at the example, one sort of example of doing the renewable resource such as the wind farm as well. And so in this process also, we're not just telling that, you know, these LED bulbs are good. They're doing the calculation themselves and showing to the class and learning from each other how much can it be helped. And they're also teaching each other. And so this kind of activity, I think, can really helpful in promoting sustainability. And it's also rewarding for the instructor to see, because, you know, there was one student who said that, you know, when they were doing this activity, you know, he actually convinced his parents and they actually replaced all the bulbs, as they clearly saw by themselves, you know, how much beneficial it was. The last module that I would like to share is, I tell this as a cautionary tale of the MTBE, and I do this as a homework assignment in the environment chemistry course that I teach. And MTBE is the methyl tertiary butyl ether. It was added earlier in a few decades ago as an additive in the gasoline. And the reason that it was added is that in California, especially, there was a problem of the air pollution, and then we wanted to improve this conditions. And so whenever, and this is a cautionary tales, because, you know, this, when we try to address some problem and we try to look for the solution, we need to look at it, you know, big picture, not look at narrowly to solve this problem. And this really applies when we talk about actually geoengineering approach to climate change as well. We can't look at it narrowly from just one point of view, and we need to involve the experts from the different fields, so we don't create another problem. And one thing that a student always tell me, some student, is that, you know, hopefully, we hope that in future we would do the research to know about some of the harmful activities of this before we introduce. But there was actually, it was known to scientific community about some of the harmful effect of MTBE. So what happened was, when the MTBE was added in the gasoline, the main intention was to reduce the air pollution as it decreases, as you can see in this figure, carbon monoxide, particulate matter, hydrocarbons, ozone. It leads to a reduction in all these air pollutants. But this MTBE was also highly soluble and can transport to further distances. And as we have the leaking this underground gasoline tanks, and so this MTBE also, we can actually test it even at a lower concentration. And so, and can also smell it as well. And some public water system which use the groundwater, they were starting to having this funny test in this their water. And this was because of this MTBE in it. And so the entire municipal water system that had to be shut down in some of the location, and this really became a problem. And eventually, the thing that was introduced now, environment, MTBE, to solve the problem of air pollution, it helped to solve the problem of air pollution, but it really became a problem for the water pollution, and it had to be banned. And now we don't use the MTBE, and in the process of introducing this, now there is several locations that are still dealing with this MTBE pollution, this groundwater, and now we have to have more investment for the people, money, and everything to solve another problem. So that's why this concept of sustainability and looking at it more broadly can help us to prevent such kind of the problem in future. So these are some of the 4 examples that I have been doing in my courses. And also I encourage students that if they're interested in sustainability project, so I'll just share just very few examples of the project, the student that I have been involving. So the student, the Victoria Reid, she was interested in the environment sustainability, and she looked at how the land use has really changed in short amount of time in Kathmandu Valley, Nepal. That's where I come from. And so she presented this in a senior project, and she did this project to show an example of the environment sustainability. This problem of sustainability is related not only about the environment, but also about the society. And so another student, Juliet Foley, she did about the environmental justice issues from the municipal waste operation, and she presented this in a project day. She did a senior project in this. And then Megan Conway, she had done a project on studying the air quality in the Villanova campus, and also looking at the social vulnerability and health outcomes from the air pollution in the Philadelphia neighborhoods. And finally, I just want to share one final example of the publication from the last year. We looked at 5 different neighborhoods in Philadelphia in summer of 2017. And we looked at the different things, but one thing that we looked at is that how the houses that are located closer to the highways, they have high exposure to the PM 2.5, that's dust, particulate matter, small particles, or the soot, or the noise that actually is higher in these neighborhoods compared to the other location. And these different colors actually represent the different locations of the Tioga, Mill Creek, Northern Liberty, Chestnut Hill, and Center City. As everyone has been sharing some of the helpful resources, so I looked at it finally to share some of the resources. One of the things that I haven't used this, but I think this could be useful if we want to introduce the concept of sustainability. There's this sustainable management plan. This is from the EPA, where we can select some of these things, and then it can create the heat map and can show about the influence of this in the different environment. And it also has a short tutorial and really good tutorial and even a video. So I think this can be used in the classroom activity, but I haven't used this while searching. This is one of the things that came up. The other thing that could be helpful is that this International Journal of Sustainability and Higher Education, this has several articles that is published. I think this could be used to promote the sustainability and like our campus settings, or use this as an example in our teaching in our classroom. And there is also the Encyclopedia of Sustainability in Higher Education. This document also has the articles on various topics in sustainability, and I think that could be maybe helpful as well. And I think AASSC Villanova is a member of this. This is a curriculum for sustainability. They have several webinars in promoting or teaching sustainability. And the second last one is the World Resource Institute, the Sustainable Cities. It has the several documents and some examples. This could again be used as an exercise in a classroom. And finally, the Springer publication has the list of the books. If you follow this one, that lists sustainability, and that could also be a very useful resource in teaching the sustainability and in our various courses. So finally, thank you so much, Lizel, for giving me the opportunity to share some of the things.
Yeah, this is wonderful. Thank you so much. All these examples were really tangible and helpful to kind of get our heads around, different ways that we can apply sustainability in our classrooms. And these resources are great. And I will confirm that we are a member of ASHE, so you can create an account with ASHE, get access to all their locked material, so you shouldn't have any limitations there. And I will include links to all these resources in our follow-up email as well, so you don't need to try to copy them all down now. Does anyone have any questions at this time regarding the presentation?
Lisa, I'm not sure how many people are on, but I certainly enjoyed learning about the professor and his exposure to the students through experiential learning. I find the same thing continually in my class when I ask for feedback. They really like to have this hands-on approach and get these calculated results and find that 90% of the cost is the power to run the light bulb and the cost of the bulb is insignificant. I constantly get feedback from peer-to-peer learning where they look at different countries and their power usages and their extent of sustainable power generation. So I'm wholly on board with getting more examples that I can use in my own class, especially in the build environment, because I think that's something that I don't do enough of in talking about alternative energies and ways to sequester carbon. I guess it's turning out that you can sequester carbon for 100 years if you put it in building materials. And that's something I definitely want to include in my class going forward. And I really appreciate the building examples that the professor offered.
Yeah, thank you so much. That may also go on to big points as well, Arnie, right? I don't know. I don't know much about the LEED, but these are the things that help to earn the LEED points, right, Legia?
Yeah, yes. I mean, I think that'd probably be an innovation credit if you capture carbon in your building material. You know, as like a little education on LEED for everybody. LEED, like other certification systems, updates their checklist and their requirements every handful of years to keep it, you know, moving forward with the progress that they've made in the industry. And because of long sunset periods, Villanova is still certifying under the certification system that came out in 2009. So, you know, it's still a LEED building for sure, but the, you know, some of those innovation credits that you know, you're probably referring to aren't even part of the certification program that we've been using for the last couple of years, or yeah, for a long time now. Any new building moving forward after the PAC is certified will be under the newer version, but they were all able to squeak in under the sunset period.
So one of the things is we look at renewables and using renewables to recycle plastics, for example, in gasification. Byproduct of that is a carbon char, and that carbon char can actually be built into bricks and used as a building material to actually produce a carbon negative impact on the environment, because you're essentially recycling the plastic. Of course, if it's plant plastic, that's even better. But it's carbon neutral or carbon negative. So it's a new opportunity to sequester large amounts of carbon for long periods of time.
Great. Any other questions?
I get passionate about this topic, people. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Chuck, you're great. You've been at every webinar.
But it really, I mean, the amount of activity and learning that's going on in the science and arts college, taking advantage of interdisciplinary work with the nursing school and all this, we can all take a lesson from this and learn to be more inclusive of other colleges within the university.
Yeah, the course that I teach, actually, the indoor air quality, that's a cross-college course that's offered from a office, so they're promoting that.
Yeah, and you know, again, having students gather data and do the analysis and coming to their own conclusions is absolutely the best way of comprehensive learning. So I'm really impressed by what's going on.
Great, thank you. So we're a little bit past the half-hour mark, but if anyone has one last question, we can take that before we stop recording. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording.